Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Good. How are you? We ready to get started?
Great. Yes, we are. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Susan Pomfret. I am the Senior Vice President of the Heckham Lending Division at Cross Country Mortgage, and we're happy to be sharing these 12-minute chats with you. So, Jim, take over.
Susan, I appreciate the time. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jim Dobler. I am the Vice President of Sales for a firm called DMI. Been in the industry for God knows too long right now. Also like to welcome our crack producer, Lauren Famiglietti, as well. So with that said, since I know we're only going about 12 minutes or so, Susan, what are we talking about today?
So I thought we would discuss sequence of return risks. I think people really need to know about that with everything going on. So I thought maybe you could kind of take over there.
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks.
Well, the sequence of return risk, or it's also called market risk. Let's look at it this way. When a client or a person is working, they're at the accumulation part of their career, let's see, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s. If the market goes down, say the market drops 10, 20, 30%, it's usually not that big of a deal because they're still working, they still have an income coming in, and they have time to recover. Now, when someone is getting close to retirement or in retirement, it's a whole different story there. So the two most important times for a retiree are 5 years before they actually retire and 5 years after. So with market return, people talk about, hey, when you retire, take your investment, and I like to use really easy numbers. So I'm going to use an example. Say a client has $1 million and they were told that they can take out 4% on their money, maybe adjust for inflation, and they can do that for the rest of their life and not run out of money. Yeah, that's a lot of people are doing that. You know what? That's a recipe for disaster. Because here's the question, Susan. What if they retire, let's say in 2007 or beginning of 2008, and that $1 million, where if they're going to be taking out 4%, we're talking about $40,000 per year. Think about that.
Right.
But if the market goes down like it did in 2007, 20, 30, 40%, let's take the middle number, 30%. Now that $1 million is now only worth $700,000. So are you going to still take out that 4%, which now is no longer $40,000, it's $28,000. And you have a couple different options. You can still take out that 4%, but again, that's another recipe for disaster because the money that you have in your kitty, so to speak, is going to go down really fast. And you're going to run out of money before you even know it. The other option is shift from the 4% down to taking out the, let's say, the 28% off of that. But now you have $12,000 that you originally had, but you don't have now. And that's a problem. There are a couple solutions to it. For example, if you have cash value in your life insurance, you can actually take money out of there, luckily tax-free, and you can make up that shortfall. Let's say you're lucky enough to have, I don't know, 50,000 or 100,000 in a savings account. Not many of us have that, but if you do, you can use that. Another thing, you know what, Susan, I'm going to throw this right back to you. Another option is if you also have your home, you can take a reverse mortgage. Take it for a short amount of time till the market comes back to make up, in this example, that $12,000 shortfall. Susan, and I know I put you on the spot, you probably were not ready for this, but can you briefly talk about if someone was going to use that type of strategy in retirement? How would it work? How would they pay it back? Just can you go into that?
Sure. And actually, we're seeing more and more of that direct from the consumer and financial planners throughout the U.S. When the market's down, you don't want to touch your investments, as you said. So what they do is they set up a home equity line of credit, a HECM line of credit that they access in a down market. So let's say they need to make up that shortfall while the market's down, tap into the HECM line of credit through that time. And then when the market comes back, go back to switching to taking out of your investments. So it has that flexibility that you touch it when you want it. You know, if you don't need it, then you don't touch it, but it's there for you. And set it up as soon as you're age eligible at 62, so that it's there when the market goes down, because we know the market goes up and down all the time, and you want to be prepared. You don't want to have to be, panicking and reacting to the situation. So we see this more and more over the last few years, obviously.
Okay. And I think that's a great explanation for this particular example. I would highly suggest that if you are an individual who has just retired, or you're an advisor who has a client who just retired, that you do not use this strategy of just putting all your eggs in one basket and taking out a certain percentage. You can, what I would do is use sort of reverse engineering, and we'll probably talk about this at a future live chat that we have. Do some reverse engineering, find out what the client's expenses are, both their discretionary and non-discretionary. So sort of their bills as well as their play money, what they want to do, like going out to dinner. And what you want to do is cover the non-discretionary or their bills with some sort of instrument, financial instrument that will cover that, never run out. So basically, we're usually talking about, not always, but we're usually talking about some sort of income, and usually some sort of income annuity, or if you can get maybe a 30-year bond. Unfortunately, you look at treasury rates right now, 10-year treasury is 0.7%. But if you say use an income annuity where you take advantage of both the interest rate as well as mortality credits, not all the client's portfolio, but just enough to cover their non-discretionary expenses. That, and if you use that in conjunction with, say, investments where you really still need to have some money in the market to cover inflation risk. But if that money does go down, it's not as big as a hit, because you have your bills covered. And that's where you can take advantage of utilizing cash value in a life insurance, utilizing, like Susan was talking about, a reverse mortgage, or if you're lucky to actually have enough money in the bank. So there's a lot of different strategies. And I have people ask me all the time, what should I do with my clients? And I tell them flat out, it depends. Depends on their situation, on how to best handle it. But you want to make sure that you have all options on the table. You don't want to take one type of product, whether it's an annuity, whether it's a reverse mortgage, whether it's a life insurance cash value. Do not take that off the table, because it could be really helpful for some client. And so I see where I was hoping, I know last time, Susan, we went a little over and we really didn't have any time for questions. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure maybe we ended this maybe a couple minutes early. See if Lauren had anybody that's on the call with the thousands of people that are on the call today. Maybe there was a question or two for us.
Sure.
Yeah, so our first question is for Susan. If I tap into a HECM line of credit when the market is down, when do I have to pay it back?
Oh, great question. Actually, you don't have to pay it back when the market comes up and you stop tapping into it. You have to pay it back when you either move out of the property, sell the property, or pass away. So, with the ups and downs of the market, yes, you might touch it today and then not touch it for another year or two. That's fine. Anything that's left in that line of credit that you have in there actually has a growth feature. So every year there's even more money available to you. It's not free money, but it's more money available to you. So as that line of credit grows, it gives you access to more money. Great question.
Great. And then our next question for Jim, should a retiree start investing more conservatively with their money compared to when they were working?
Well, I think that rolls right into what we talked about today. Like I said earlier, the 5 years before retirement and the 5 years after are the most important time frame for the client to either invest more conservatively, or maybe take some money off the table by utilizing some sort of other financial instrument like an income annuity to cover the client's non-discretionary expenses. I'll tell you what, if you say the client is used to going out to dinner once a week and the market goes down, you know what? That's discretionary expenses. That's not a bill. You could always cut that back. Maybe you go out to dinner once every 2 weeks. So once you cover the bills, the non-discretionary expenses, you can have the rest of the money in the market. If you say have no problem with the money going down with possibly getting a nice return, then that's fine. You can go into mutual funds, you can go into a variable annuity, whatever you want. If you do not want your money to lose value with maybe not getting as high a return, then you bring in a product called a fixed index annuity into the conversation. So there's so many different options to use, and that's what I would say. 5 years before, 5 years after, that's when you really need to address it. Good question.
And Jim, we talk about it all the time, and I'm sure you'll agree, it's all about planning, right? And that's what we're trying to tell people is plan. See what all your options are, speak to a professional financial planner and plan.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a plan, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't wait till last minute. Even people start planning in their 20s, their 30s, depending on different strategies. Like you can actually set up a strategy where you pay no taxes in retirement. People have to take required minimum distributions when they turn, now it's 72. There are strategies out there to make sure you don't pay any taxes, but you can't start planning when you're 65. You need to start in your 30s, 40s, so you have a game plan. And I agree 100%, Susan. You need to get a game plan together well before retirement. So, Susan, you're the one who's the typical timekeeper. How are we doing?
Well, we are at 12 minutes, so we like to truly keep to our 12-minute chat. So I guess we can end here. Lauren, if there are other questions, we can get back to those people with the answer. But again, thank you all for joining us. Make sure you tune in to our next 12-minute live chat, which will be October 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern. And Jim, Lauren, Thank you guys again. Great information out there that we're just trying to provide to everybody. So good job, guys.
Absolutely. One last thing I'll add is that if you want to see this chat that we're having, as well as any of the other ones that we've done, you can always check out either Susan Pomfret or Jim Dobler's YouTube channel, because we keep them there. All right. Hey, everyone. Appreciate it. We'll see you in 2 weeks.